for those who don't know me, I'm Amanda. You may have seen me in other people's channels under the name Egyptianspirit, and I thought we'd kick off this month with my January TBR. Welcome to Ludothon. I'm going to start off with 6 rolls, and if I happen to roll a 6, I'm going to add another roll. The aim is to get into the home space to win a book shopping spree, and the amount I can spend will be determined by how many books I have read to get to that point. So for example, 1 book equals £1. I will be putting this ajar and spending that amount once I reach the home square. This applies to any book I read, not just the ones on my TBR. I can choose to spend straight away, or I can choose to save. If I don't get the exact amount to get to the home space, then I have to backtrack the remaining spaces. But don't worry, all will become clear when I get to that stage. So let's get started with roll number 1. Roll number 1. And that is Book About Books. For Book About Books, I'm going with The Last Library by Freya Sampson. This is about a lonely library assistant whose library is going to foreclose and the journey it takes to fight against it. This sounds really heartwarming and I'm looking forward to this one. Roll number 2. A fairy tale? Nice. For fairy tale, I'm going to choose The Night We Got Stuck in a Story by Ben Miller. I can't say too much about this one because as it's not directly linked as a sequel, it has the same characters as one of his previous books, The Day I Fell Into a Fairy Tale. But it has magic, whimsy and a favourite tree that they're trying to save from a threat. It sounds really interesting and is quite short, so it should be quick to knock out. Roll 3. Ooh, green on the cover. For green on the cover, I'm going to choose House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. This is one I hope to get to in the spooky season, but I just didn't have time for it. This is about a young woman called Marion Shaw, who was raised in the slums, and her only hope of escape is that one day she comes across an advertisement for a blood maid. And that's all I know about it, but it's been majorly popular around BookTube lately, and I'm really looking forward to diving in. Roll 4. Hyped book. For hyped book, I will be choosing Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I needed to get this on here for a read-along called Olympian Along, hosted by myself and the gorgeous Pris from Pris Peruses. I will leave the announcement link for it down below, as well as Pris's channel. You should totally go check her out. Now I'm sure that everyone knows what Percy Jackson is about, but in case you don't, it's about this young boy who finds out he's a half boy, half god, and basically coming to terms with his powers. There's a camp where he meets other people like himself, and it sounds fantastical, as well as having the found family trope, which I personally love. I did watch the movie a few years ago now, but I always wanted to try the books, so I'll definitely be doing that this year. Roll number 5. Ouch. Big book with 500 plus pages. For big book with 500 plus pages, I am going with The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. This is Jade from JD Ray Reads Patreon pick, and I'm so glad I could squeeze this on here. I'm not a big epic fantasy fan, but I'm hoping this will all change as soon as I read this one. I'm going to go into this one completely blind. Roll number 6. No, it's a 6. So that's one more roll added. And we have safe, which means I don't need to do anything for this roll. Roll number 7. Phew, and that is contemporary. And then for contemporary, which was, thank God, our last roll, I'll be going with Tattoo Teardrops by P.T. Workman. This is all about a 15-year-old fresh out of juvie and trying to find her way in the world once again and falling in love. I read this one a few years back, but I've always hoped to carry on with the series, and now that I own the rest of the books, I'm going to have to go back through book one and just give myself a refresher. And I hope to do the books in the next couple of months. There were a few books I didn't manage to get on my rolls, which I have to include here. For the literature book pick, we will be reading Priest by Sierra Simone. For those that don't know, this is run by Steph from Steph Loves, and it's where we read dark romances and smut. I'm all about the dark stuff on this channel. Priest is about a priest that has broken his vow of celibacy and is telling us his story. The tagline that gripped me was, "There are many rules a priest can't break. A priest cannot marry. A priest cannot abandon his flock. A priest cannot forsake his God." I am so incredibly excited for this one, and I think it may be the first one that I pick up in January. Then there's Steph Love's Patreon buddy read, which is The Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is about Dracula's first bride Constanta. I mean, what more do I need to know, right? Even though I've never actually read Dracula, I know basically his story. That may be another book that I pick up this year, who knows. Then I have a buddy read with my lovely best friend Robbie, and we'll be reading The FIFA King by Victoria Lee. This is about a 16-year-old who wakes up in a hospital bed, the sole survivor of the vile magic that killed his family and made him a technopath. I mean, that sounds amazing. This has been another book high on my priority list. I just haven't found the time for it. Thanks to Robbie, I will definitely be reading this in January though. Taking in turns each month to pick a book we'd like to read. And finally, The Deathclaw by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti, which is the indie authors group pick that is run by Robbie over on Instagram. This is a dark romance reverse harem story, and reverse harem is my favourite genre of all time. This one ticks all the boxes for me, and just look at that cover. Oh my god, I am so stoked. So that's my TBR for January. $10, not that bad. Plus a secret TBR for an upcoming video, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please consider smashing that like button and following my channel to make sure you stay up to date with all the exciting things I got planned. And I shall see you in the next video. Bye!